Hello, my friends. Hello, and welcome once again to Stately Von Manor, where Roger and I have returned for a kind of tag video today. This video is based on a video that Gavin did over at Genre Books. Genre Books is one of the most magnificent and fantastic booktube channels of all time. It's one of my favorite channels, actually. And he did a video yesterday called Your Best Shelf. And it's basically, the idea is if you could have any book in the world, or any 10 books in the world, if you could have any 10 books in the world to put on this fantasy shelf, no matter how much they cost, no matter how much, no matter how rare they are or how expensive they are, what would they be? And he came up with 10 books of his own that he would really like to have. And I have a few books like that. I'm not really a book collector. These are books that I do not need. In fact, all of these I think I have in one form or another, but I don't have these specific ones. And so I think he had rules for this, didn't he, Roger? I'm forgetting the rules. I hope I don't break the rules today. So I remember two of them. One, it has to be in a language. The books have to be in a language you understand. You know, you'd have to actually be able to read these books. And two, this other rule I remember is that these books actually have to exist in the world. They can't be books that should exist but don't. They have to actually exist. Doesn't matter how rare the books are, they just have to exist somewhere. Those are the two rules that I remember. I'm sure there was another one. I probably should have rewatched the video, but I didn't because I'm lazy. Anyway, I have 10 books, just as Gavin did. His video is great. I'll link it down below. You should go watch that video. His channel is better than this one. I don't know why you're not watching his channel, but here you are watching mine. So here are my 10 books. If I could have any 10 books in the world that I don't have, these would be those 10 books. I ranked them 10 to 1 in the order of, my desire for them. So here we go. Number 10. I'll put pictures of them up here. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson, which of course is a book I have. I have it right there. But this paperback edition right here is the paperback edition that I first read this book in. And so I have nostalgic feelings for this particular paperback edition because I had no idea what this book was about when I got it. I just saw this cover and said, damn, I need to read this book. And I read it and I loved it. I must have been probably 19, 20, something like that. And I picked this book up used somewhere. And I don't know what happened to my copy of it, which sometimes happens to books. They sometimes vanish. And this one somehow vanished. I don't know what happened. I don't know if I lent it out to somebody or what. But yeah, this is the paperback copy that I originally read this story in. It's great. I wish I had it. So this is number 10. I Am Legend by Richard Matheson with this cover. So that's that. Number 9. Number 9 is the Essential Dracula. This is an annotated edition of Dracula. There are a lot of annotated editions of Dracula out there. I've got one right up there. But this particular one, I used to own years ago. Again, another book that disappeared over the years, and I don't know what happened to it. But I remember this one being particularly good. I would love to have it and read it again. I remember this particular cover, which is from the Dracula movie from the late 70s, which is when this book came out, I'm assuming. So this is edited by Raymond McNally and, is it Radu Florescu? Radu Florescu? Anyway, they did a book called, I think they did the book In Search of Dracula, something like that. And they did this. And I remember it being really good. And I would really like to have it once again. I don't know if it's a particularly expensive or rare book. I just can't get it because I'm on the 500 book challenge. someday that challenge will be over and I'll be able to buy books again. But until that happens, I can't get it. But yeah, this one. I would really like to have this one. So that's number 9. Number 8. Number 8, the Colossal Conan. It's the Colossal Conan. What kills me with this one is that I could have gotten this book. So this is a gigantic, it's absolutely gigantic collection of the original run of Dark Horse Comics Conan comic book, which was a great run of comics. I have 2 other Colossal Conan books. I've got the Colossal Conan the Cimmerian and the Colossal King Conan. So I have the sequels, but I do not have this great original. And it burns me up because I could have gotten it. You know, it was available at a time when I could have purchased it. It was just very expensive. And at the time that was a difficulty. It was before Roger used his magic power to fill my house full of gold. So this was before that, you know. So I didn't get it because of the price, and now I regret it. You know, I should have just sold something. I don't know. I should have gotten it because I really want this book, and now it's very rare and even more expensive, and I'm not going to pay for what it costs now. So yeah, the Colossal Conan, man. I should have gotten this when I had the chance. So that's that. The next one is the complete John the Balladeer from Manly Wade Wellman. Manly Wade Wellman, pulp writer, science fiction writer, wrote some awesome stuff. I have a set of Manly Wade Wellman books down there, but I do not have this, the complete John the Balladeer. John the Balladeer is Manly Wade Wellman's most famous character. Great stories and novels. And this came out, was it a year ago, a couple years ago? I don't remember. But when I heard about it, I was already on the 500 book challenge, the evil 500 book challenge. So I couldn't buy it. And now I'm sure it's probably super expensive. By the time I'm done with the 500 book challenge, there's no way I'll be able to get this. So I should have gotten it when I had the chance, but I couldn't because of the challenge. You know, damn. But I certainly would have these books if I could have them. I think this is a great character. Manly Wade Wellman, excellent writer of fantasy and horror. This is good stuff. So yeah, the complete John the Balladeer. So that was something I would get. So now we're at number 6. And number 6, there's really no reason for me to have this book except I would actually like it. This is To Walk the Night. To Walk the Night by William Sloane. Now I do have this book. He wrote a couple of books, a couple of horror novels, and this is the one I like better, To Walk the Night. This is the first edition. So I would like to have this just to have this because it is a book I like an awful lot. Again, I don't need it. I have a copy of the novel. I could read it anytime I want. It's excellent. It's just the kind of thing that, man, if I could have that book, that would be awesome. I would really like it just to have it. So yeah, To Walk the Night. And this is excellent. This is a book that was written in the 1930s. It's a cosmic horror novel, but it's really nothing like what Lovecraft would write. Like I said, Sloane only wrote a couple of these novels, and they were both excellent. And this one was particularly good, I thought. So yeah, I would have this one if I could have that. That brings us to number 5. And number 5 is The House on the Borderland by William Hope Hodgson. This is the Arkham House edition with the Hans Bach cover, which is just beautiful. So I have this book. Again, another book I have. I have all of William Hope Hodgson's books. I have a very nice set of William Hope Hodgson's books, but this is just so awesome. It's just such a beautiful book. And it's a novel I like a lot. Excellent, weird novel. And it's just gorgeous. And I would have this if I could have it. Arkham House, they publish some good stuff. And a lot of their books are very collectible and expensive now, including this one. And this is certainly one that I would get if I could get it. But I can't. And, even if I wasn't on the challenge, it would probably be too expensive. So House on the Borderland, I would have that if I could have it. Then number 4, this is The Long Goodbye by Raymond Chandler. This is the first edition of The Long Goodbye, which is my favorite Raymond Chandler novel. I'm not saying it's the best Raymond Chandler novel. You Raymond Chandler fans can argue about that, but this is my particular favorite. I like this book a lot. I like the look of the book of the first edition. It is certainly something I would love to have on my shelf if I could have it, but it's way out of my price range, this particular book, and always will remain so. And again, it's not something I need because I do have a copy of this book. I could read it anytime I want, but man, it would be cool to have this one. So that's The Long Goodbye. This next one is a book that I almost bought. I almost spent a stupid amount of money on it, but I came to my senses. And that is City by Clifford D. Samack. Again, this is the first edition. And I came across this in a bookstore in San Francisco a few years ago. This is my very favorite science fiction novel of all time. It's a wonderful book by Clifford Samack. And I ran across a first edition being sold in a San Francisco bookstore, and I was sorely tempted. I was sorely tempted to spend a stupid amount of money to get it, but I didn't. I didn't get it. Again, don't need it. Can read it anytime I want. I have multiple editions of this book, but this is the first edition, and it's awful nice. I would really like it, but yeah. It's there on my fantasy bookshelf. Certainly. A great book, and this is an awesome edition of it. That brings us to number 2. What could number 2 be? This is a book that actually was also on Gavin's list. And this is The Outsider and Others by H.P. Lovecraft, published by Arkham House. This is the first major collection of H.P. Lovecraft's stories. It was the first collection of H.P. Lovecraft stories in hardcover. And it's a fantastic book. It's got, I think it was Virgil Finlay who did the cover. And it's just a beautiful looking book. I would love to have this, of course. Again, don't need it. I have everything H.P. Lovecraft wrote in multiple editions. But if you're an H.P. Lovecraft fan, you probably want this book. And of course I want it. And of course it's way too expensive for me to ever get. I mean, I guess I could buy it, but I can't. I can't come up with a reason that I would spend that much money on a book. I just can't. So I will never have this book. But yeah, if I could just have it, like through magic. Speaking of, Roger, why aren't you hard at work getting all these books for me? You have magical powers. He often uses the Necronomicon, a book that actually exists and is on our bookshelf. So yeah, The Outsider and Others. The next one is number 1, and this should be no surprise to anybody. Nobody will be shocked by my number 1 book, and that is Skullface and Others by Robert E. Howard. Another book published by Arkham House. Again, this was the first major collection of Robert E. Howard stories published, and it's actually an excellent collection. I do actually have a duplicate of this book. I have the English reprint, which was reprinted under the title on the cover. The Skullface Omnibus was how it was published, how it was republished, although the title page is the same as this book. It's just a duplicate. But I would love to have an original. This is an excellent anthology. August Derleth, he chose the contents of this, and he did a good job. I'm not sure I would agree with everything. He thinks that these are the best Robert E. Howard stories in this book. I'm not sure that they all are, but they're all great stories, and it's an excellent anthology. So you have a little bit of Conan in here. We've got some horror stuff in here, some Brad McMorn, some King Cole. We got this has a pretty good selection of stories in here, and it is a major book in the history of Robert E. Howard publications. So yeah, this is absolutely number one. I would love to have it, but I don't. At least not yet. You know, will it take a sacrifice or two? That's no problem. We could do that. Anyway, go watch Gavin's original video because it was awesome, and I will catch you next time.